On this week's episode of DLN Xtend, we dive into what email is like in 2020. This episode of DLN Xtend is brought to you by DigitalOcean and Bitwarden. Welcome to episode 37 of DLN Xtend. This is a community-powered podcast where we take conversations from the DLN community, like the discourse forums, Telegram groups, Discord server, and so much more. We also snag topics from around the network and give you our takes. This week, I have my fantastic co-host with me, Nate, who absolutely loves his openSUSE and
I do.
Playing with lights.
I am. I'm actually playing with a lot of lights. But now working on my Linux-powered Christmas festive lights, whatever you want to call them. I say festive because I use them all year long, not just Christmas. Right now they're Christmas lights, but then there'll be Valentine's lights too. So.
But I know you did something for Halloween with them, right?
I did. I made a Ghostbusters, music to Ghostbusters like sequence. Although I wasn't real happy with it. One of these strands of lights that were like run off of AC power didn't do what they were supposed to do. But that's okay. I'm working on Christmas now. We've moved on. I had Thanksgiving lights too, because I think Thanksgiving needs their own.
Heck yeah.
Orange, red, and yellow look. Why not?
Give a little more flair to the house.
Yeah, it gets a little skipped over. So yeah, and then I'm doing some wiring of the new lights into the system. It's not all plug and play. It's a little bit more to it. But so I'm soldering like these power injection cables so that I don't have these voltage drops down the strands right now. And then I'm putting on these doing some vertical lines on my columns in the front of the house instead of doing like wrapping them. Now these aren't fancy columns. This is like I live in a 1,200 square foot bungalow, so it's not it's not a fancy house. But anyway, so I'm adding about 2,000 lights to my system. So it requires another power supply. Not that I'm worried that I'm going to be like blasting it at full at any point in time, but each power supply I have can only push about 360 watts of power. So there's a limit as to how many obviously lights you can do. But since I'm not doing all white all the time, I'm not stressing it like I would be stressing it the whole time. So I'm leaving a little bit of headroom in there, and I'm adding some snowflakes, doing some candy canes, a giant pixel tree that have 1,090 lights in that. I'm really excited. It's gonna be fun. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to doing the sequences to music. I got 4 songs picked out. 2 of them I'm gonna reprise from last year, and then 2 new songs. And someone says, well, you shouldn't use last year's music. It's my house. I can do what I want. It's not like I'm doing it for me. And then you can compare.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. As you're talking about adding all of these extra lights, I just keep thinking of Clark Griswold and the additional lights that get plugged in the house that glows like the sun.
He is essentially my spirit animal this time of year, Clark Griswold. And I do like Christmas Vacation. I don't have a neighbor like he did, like there's crotchety neighbors.
Oh, you're lucky that way.
I think they were, and in fact, my neighbors like it, and like all the lights not actually on, like when it's in a daydream mode. So even with like 3,000 some odd lights on, only about maybe 3/4 of them will be on, maybe
at one time. Yeah,
because I don't want to just burn the lights. I don't want to just burn the electricity. It's part of like an animation sequence then. So like the lights just kind of like shift over time. So it's not, so it's more interesting, I think, rather than just be on. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah. Then a stagnant light show or a stagnant light setup.
Right. Yeah. Then it's like whoopity doo. And also I don't like it flashing either all the time, because that can be annoying for neighbors. So I just kind of have it a little more calm, bright, but calmly bright, if that makes any sense.
Yes, absolutely.
It's probably a good thing I'm not married, because I think if I had a wife, she'd be really upset about the lights all over the dining room right now. But got to count your blessings, I suppose.
Yes, absolutely. I know my husband, we got a China hutch for a really good deal earlier this year.
Ooh.
And most of my dishes were stuck in a back room on shelves. And as we were pulling them out so we could put them in this big China hutch, it got to the point where my husband looked at me and he's like, oh my goodness, how many more dishes do you have? And it's like, well, that was only one shelf and there's another one to go.
I bet he loved it.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting as they're like covering the dining room table and everything. Because before putting them away in the china hutch, I wanted to wash them all, right?
It makes
Like,
sense, right?
so,
Especially living in Idaho and kind of what you like a high desert. Is that what it's considered? Or
yeah, we're high mountain desert, high elevation desert.
so it's
So
probably dusty, and so they needed a good scrub down. It makes sense. I'm all about that.
yes, yeah, it's very dusty here. Something that's not dishes related would be my kitchen system. I guess that almost is dishes related, right? Because I'm usually cooking dinner or whatever. And so I've had my kitchen system now.
It's a kitchen appliance.
Yes, I've had it now for almost a year. And I have to say, I love this thing more and more all the dang time. I think everybody should have a kitchen system because whether it's like videos going or podcasts going or, looking something up, I've actually done quite a bit of Christmas shopping from the kitchen system this year.
Wow.
It's kind of funny because it's in this area where like everybody's passing through all the time, but I know like the kids are doing something else or whatever. And it's just kind of like been looking and doing a little bit of shopping here and there. And it doesn't look like mom's doing anything different, right?
Right.
But I'm getting some Christmas shopping done. So it's such an amazing thing. And I can't imagine.
All right. You're running Plasma?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. It's running Manjaro with Plasma as the DE. Super smooth. I mean,
So you could create an activity. You could create a separate activity where you hide all the Christmas shopping, and then and the kids would never know.
Yeah.
Just one meta key tab, and then you can just hide it all.
Hide it all, and back to whatever else is on the screen. Yeah, just super smooth and
just YouTube. Just YouTube and recipes. That's it. That's it, kids. Nothing to see here, unless you want to help in the kitchen.
I love the system that I built earlier this year. I mean, it's probably my favorite system in general as far as hardware goes, but the system that gets used the most day in and day out for just everyday things is the kitchen system. And I cannot imagine not having one anymore. They're glorious.
Actually, I have to totally agree with you. My kitchen system probably gets more use than what I call my main computer, like my main workhorse computer. Because I'm in the kitchen so much, and I need one thing or another, and I've got all the chat apps there too. I got Zoom there, so I can participate in the Destination Linux, behind the scene, backstage pass, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm always in the kitchen. I'm not always in my my super cubicle, as it were. And so I think that it just gets more use when I'm at home than anything else in the house.
It's so accessible.
Yeah, and it's right there, and it hangs above my sink. And, as I'm washing dishes or putting stuff in the dishwasher, I can look up or, whatever, a lot of times, a lot of YouTube stuff or the video or library.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's one thing I still need to do. I need to get mine mounted. So it's still sitting on the kitchen counter, which is a little bit dangerous, right? I do have a mechanical keyboard on that system, but it's a cheap one that I was given, and I don't want anything like super expensive, especially where it's sitting on the counter. It can't kind of be picked up where spills and stuff can happen. And where the keyboard is, it's right under where I store glass jars. And I've had a glass jar fall out of the cupboard and break off a key cap.
Nice.
So nothing super expensive is, going on the counter at this point. So I do need to get the rest of the main body of the system lifted up and mounted. I have a plan to do it. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, I've lost one keyboard now due to water because some idiot, and by idiot I mean me, was went from doing like putting dishes in the dishwasher right to typing something and got just tons of water on the keyboard. And so then it just started like pressing random keys all the time.
Oh no!
I wonder if I can. It's like a wireless one too. It's a really nice wireless Logitech that I got. It has like a touchpad on it, so it's like I can just use it for everything. I can just grab it.
Oh,
a real nice one that I ruined. I should probably take it apart and see if I can bring it back. If it's just like a matter of maybe some isopropyl alcohol,
clean it up,
cleaning off whatever bits of debris. Could be like food debris inside there for all I know. I mean, I don't. It's like I knew better. I totally knew better, and I did it anyway. So what an idiot. But
I mean, it happens. We all get busy doing stuff. I mean, heck, I pulled out a cast iron pan from the oven that I was seasoning. I used the hot pads to grab it, and then for some reason, mind blank, I grabbed the handle to roll the oil around in the bottom. 400 degree pan. Yeah, that hurt. So yeah, we all do wonderful things like that.
You seasoned your hand a little bit, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, it felt lovely. My husband just looked at me like, really? Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome. But awesome. I mean, like very painful.
Very painful. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Matt won't be here this week. My understanding is maybe he's out in Canada hunting Pokemon now. Is that what we heard?
You had so much fun doing it that he needed to go have a trip and hunt some Pokemon too. Yes.
It must be. Yeah. Let's hope his isn't as long as mine, right?
Yeah, hopefully he'll be back sooner. Not quite such a lull, but hopefully he has just as much fun as you did too. This episode of DLN Xtend is brought to you by DigitalOcean. DigitalOcean recently announced their new app platform service, which is a solution to build modern cloud-native apps. With App Platform, you can build, deploy, and scale apps and static websites quickly and easily. Simply point your GitHub repositories and let the App Platform do all the heavy lifting. It has support for Node.js, Python, Go, PHP, Ruby, static sites, and Docker. DigitalOcean runs all of their app platform on their own infrastructure, so your costs are significantly lower than with any other products. Plus, they built this new app platform on top of DigitalOcean Kubernetes, providing a smoother migration path so you can take more control of your infrastructure setup. As a listener to DLN Xtend podcast and a member of the DLN community, you can get started for free. Actually, better than free, because DigitalOcean is giving you a $100 credit when you go to do.co/DLN. Again, go to do.co/DLN to get started with your $100 credit on top of DigitalOcean's new app platform. We want to thank DigitalOcean for sponsoring this episode of DLN Xtend. There was a really neat conversation on episode 201 of Destination Linux where they had Hannah Biznikoff of Toot Noah Press, the Toot Noah Press officer, on to talk about email. And one of the things that I found really fascinating is not only was she a marketer beforehand, but the way now diving into privacy with Toot Noah kind of changed her view of marketing and email in general.
Yeah, she made the comment about how she didn't think about privacy because in communication you tell people everything, and so it was a little bit of a shift for her, you could say. And yeah, I thought it was kind of amusing. but yeah, no, it was interesting. Like they're really honing in on the privacy of email and listening to their users, as opposed to, like with some free services out there, they make the users the product.
Right. Yeah. They gathered the data in order to sell it. So you're not getting it free because you're selling your data in order to use that service. Right.
Right. And so it's interesting to see how, they obviously have a paid tier as well. That's how they fund it. They fund it through their paid tiers, not through selling your data through advertising. And one that brings me a smile, because I've been moving away from those quote free services more and more, as much as possible, using cubiclenate.com, email from that I pay for. But it made me think, though, maybe that might be a good alternative. I haven't actually looked into if they offer like custom emails or whatnot. I have no problem paying for email at this point.
Right.
I guess is where I'm kind of getting to this, with this. I mean, I don't know how you use email today versus 10, 15 years ago. I use email a lot differently. I use it more for social, like keeping in contact with people.
Yeah.
And today, probably not as much. It's more like business or official mail, I guess you could say. And then the different things like, Telegram or forums or whatnot, I use more for, the social or interacting with others, more so than email. Although I do have email lists, like the openSUSE uses an email list system, so that's how I stay on top of what's going on over at openSUSE to the best of my ability and so forth. But how do you use email now as opposed to, let's say, 15 years ago or whatever?
And I really never used it that much as a communication thing back and forth with people. It was, usually more traditionally phone call, that kind of thing, for anybody that I wanted to keep in touch with. But I guess in some ways it has changed. So yeah, my email is definitely more business related. And I actually have several emails, but for personal use, I've got two main ones. So one, I have the old free one that I've had absolutely for years, and anymore I only use that one if there's something that I need to give my email to, and I really don't want to give them my good personal one. I give them this crappy free one, and I don't care the junk that comes into it, because that anymore is what that email is for. The junk goes there, and then I don't have to worry about it. And then if it's something, I want to keep private, it's for stuff that I really want to see and get the emails from, I use a secure private email address that I also pay for. And I really don't pay that much for the service I use. Mine actually comes through MailFence. I've been using them now for, I think we're coming up on 3 years. Just had the third renewal, something like long. So I've been using them for a little while. I've really liked the way it goes. And they also have a free version and a paid version. So their free version, you can only use the website to check your email and that kind of thing. And because they do have a free one, the kids aren't receiving a whole lot of emails. But for the school that we're going through this year, so online public school that we've been going through this year, they required each kid to have an email address. Well, I'm not setting them up a Google email. I don't want them to have that.
Right.
So I was able to use MailFence to set each one of them up their own quote unquote email address for what they needed as part of school, and not have to worry about their information now being out there on Google, and then B, I know it's private and secure. So any of that school stuff that's coming in that's received by them, which also comes to me anyway, it is still on a private, secure mail provider that I trust.
It's good that you have oversight on their email, I would say.
Yeah. Pretty important, especially when the youngest is 6. I mean, come on, what does he need email for, right?
Right. Exactly. I mean, my oldest 9, he doesn't need email, but he has an email. If you like to email him, it's no, it doesn't matter.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really liking these different services that are really focusing on the private user, and in the scope of things, they really don't cost that much. And a cool thing about Noah is they have so many different plans that it's not only for the personal use, they have some really neat stuff for business. And it's great to see that not only can the personal user have a good secure internet, businesses can have those quality secure email addresses. So stuff that's coming back and forth between them, clients and customers, the data is safe, and they're protecting their customers that way too.
What I think is actually really neat is, well, the Tutnota, what they have, their free one has, a gigabyte of storage, which I think is crazy amount of space.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would even fill that up. But but they even give you a calendar as well. That's also encrypted by their, I don't recall the encryption that they have, like some sort of AES, something industry standard type encryption, not PGP. They use their own encryption scheme. And they also include it on their calendar and whatnot. Because I find it very important for, like, when I use email, like I create tasks from my emails, and that I put that right into my calendar immediately.
Oh, nice.
So that's nice that they have that tied together on their end as well. Now I tend to use the way I use email is I use Kmail. That's part of the KDE Personal Information Management Suite. Some people don't like Contact. It's called Contact, I guess. Maybe K-Organizer would be easier, but that would make more sense. At least that's what Michael says. But K-Organizer is just the calendar. So yeah, whatever. You should have said calendar with a K. That's, right?
Yeah.
That'd make more sense, right?
It would, but KDE is not very great with naming schemes sometimes.
Yeah, it's fine, I guess. So what I have going, like, right now, I have multiple emails that come here. I do support for militarycac.com for the Linux, for using the smart card in Linux. So I have that email that's plugged into there. And then I have a couple of Google accounts. Then one at DeLorean.net. I have Comcast. And then I have my cubiclenate.com. So it's pulling all these things in, and I need a good client that can actually handle all that.
Yeah.
And to this day, Kmail seems to be the only client that really does it the way I like. It could be a little bit more resource friendly, and it doesn't have the hiccups that it used to. But so I still use email a lot. A lot. I mean, my email every day. So yeah, it's very important to me. And I don't. But the thing is that interview that kind of really made me think, though, is so I don't actually encrypt any of my email at all.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, like, because nothing I'm doing at this time really requires that. But I could see how, there is a need to encrypt, especially if you're like, let's say you're a journalist and you're talking to people, whistleblowers or whatnot, because those things go on.
Yeah, you definitely need to keep that communication secure and making sure that the person that's giving you information is protected.
Exactly. Because there are times to better protect yourself and so forth. And I can definitely see where something like Tutnoda, or I think it's another one's called Proton Mail, right? I think that's another popular one out there.
Yeah. Proton Mail also has some good private or email.
Right. And to me, that this is a whole new thing about encrypting my email. This is like in a way, this is kind of like a whole new area. Like, these are so many things I don't understand as far as like, how does that encryption work so that the person on the other end can actually decrypt the email. If you send them an encrypted email, like, I don't know how that works, how you share the keys safely. These are things I don't really fully understand, and I'm hoping that maybe someone in the DL community can maybe enlighten me here.
So with the mail fence that I use, they say that they have end-to-end encryption. So the way they describe it is the data is encrypted on the sender's system, and only the intended recipient will be able to decrypt it. Nobody in between, so that if it arrives at the right place where it's supposed to be, then the information is decrypted. But if it gets stopped anywhere along the tracks, gets pulled because it's not the appropriate sender. And I don't know exactly how that works. How does that work for it to know it's in the right place? I am not smart when it comes to any of that stuff.
Yeah, neither am I.
It'd be an interesting deep dive to go on.
It would be. And I know Ryan, he's a big security privacy guy, so he could probably explain it better. But and I could understand, like, if you have Tutnoda to emailing somebody else within Tutnoda.
Yeah.
I can understand how that would work. But if you're emailing from, let's say, Tutnoda to cubiclenight.com and it's encrypted, how would I be able to decrypt it? That's what I don't know.
Right. Unless there's something within the email process itself that allows it to be decrypted on arrival.
Right. Some sort of like a public key, or maybe it pulls the key from some place. Again, I don't know. I understand how that works. But yeah, so it's interesting. That's because like email wasn't really intended on being a secure method of communicating.
Right.
I think originally it was more an open, where you share information. So adding these layers of security on top of email, I think is incredibly fascinating. And I'm glad people are like Tutnoda are working on these things, because, numpties like myself will probably need to be able to take advantage of these, encryption schemes and so forth. Now, they made another comment on there. Tutnoda is actually, they're working on defending against the future of quantum computing. Now, that went over my head incredibly. Like, how is it they're able to defend against something that doesn't quite exist yet? Like I wish I could even speak to that, but I can't.
Yeah, and it's definitely not anything that I would know anything about and wouldn't even want to pretend to. But I mean, right. There's some major computers that can crack different codes and stuff pretty quickly, and maybe they're taking that data, that knowledge that already exists from the current algorithms or supercomputers that are available, and maybe helping to kind of step up their game that way in future proofing, or just staying maybe one step ahead. I don't know. That's another thing that would be really cool to take a deep dive in with somebody who knows exactly what they're talking about and can use it in plain English speech.
Right, for sure. I mean, to me, it sounds like Tutnoda is really, really skating where the puck is going. If they're hedging their bets against quantum computing already, when it's not even really exactly a thing, exactly. So that to me is impressive. And that's wow. I even know, like, how would you even start? I have no idea.
It's one of those awesome things that, you're looking at this open source company and talking about not only the things that they can offer users, the things that they're doing for open source, and then just future protections. This is one thing that I love about open source. They're so focused on privacy and making sure that people are secure not only now, but later on too.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. They're focused on security, but with transparency. If that,
yes,
they don't seem like those would go together, but they seem to be putting those together, very well, as far as they're public about their audits. They're public about any security breaches that they have. They tell you, which I think is great, because, if someone breaks in your house, you want to know if you still have your things, right? Your jewelry or whatnot.
Right. Yeah. Or what they were into, or any of that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's so much easier to trust a company that is open and transparent with that stuff. It's if one says, oh, we had an accident and we're going to hide it and not let anybody know until months later, it really shakes your trust in them.
For sure.
And if one says, hey, this is an accident, this is what we did to fix it, this is exactly when it happened, we've already got it taken care of now, it's easy to be like, okay, nobody can be 100% secure all the time, right? Stuff is going to happen.
Right.
But being open and honest about when stuff happens or if it happens, it lets you be able to move forward with them in a still very trusting relationship.
Right. I think that's a sign of a great company right there when they communicate with you like that. Hey, this happened. We had a break-in or an attempted break-in even or whatever. And they go forth and they let you know. That's very counter to what is typical out there. And I think that needs to be noted. You write that down in your journal.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. This episode of DLN Xtend is sponsored by Bitwarden. Bitwarden is the password manager that we use and trust. Bitwarden lets you set up things like a PIN to easily access your password manager, as well as additional authentications such as master passwords and adding phrases to fingerprint security, all to keep your passwords safe. Bitwarden is the easiest and safest way for individuals, teams, and businesses to store, share, and sync their sensitive data. Go to bitwarden.com/DLN to get started for free. Bitwarden is the password manager that I use because Bitwarden is 100% open source. And here are two really cool things. You can self-host your Bitwarden vault, and they do outside security audits. Want to check out what they found in the latest audit? You can go to Bitwarden's website, look in their blog, and they give you all of the information. They have the papers released from the company to show you exactly what they found. Head on over to bitwarden.com/DLN to get started for free. Now, let's say you're wanting to help out this fantastic open source company and maybe wanting some of the perks that come with a premium account. What are some of those perks? We're talking 1 gigabyte of encrypted file storage, 2-step login with a YubiKey, U2F, or a Duo, Vault Health Reports, TOTP authenticator storage and generation, priority customer support. Make the smart move like so many of the people in our fantastic community and go to bitwarden.com/DLN to get started for free. If you're like me, you will want to sign up for that premium account, help this fantastic open source project, and get some of those very nice perks. Thanks so much to Bitwarden for sponsoring this episode of DLN Xtend. Well, speaking of trust, I can trust that most of you will be disappointed because Matt is not here this week, trying to give you the best game out there for the price at the moment. So you're just going to have to deal with what Nate and I have for you.
Well, I trust that I'm not going to be spending anything then this week on games because of Matt.
Because Matt's not here. Yay! Boo.
Right. I don't want to say yay, boo. Matt, why do you have to be so busy hunting down Pokemon?
That's right. We miss him and his game recommendations. So what have you been up to? What's your cool thing you're diving into?
Outside of getting, outside of the Christmas lights, my former employer, which I've totally forgotten about it because, it's been months since I was, let go. As part of a parting gift, they sent me a laptop. So I got an HP Elitebook 840 G7.
Ooh.
It came with Windows 10, of course. I have yet to turn it on. I've actually been staring at it, thinking, what am I?
Wait, what?
I know. Well, my thing is like I just hasn't come up yet. I've been busy, so I got it.
You're as bad as Michael. That's one thing we give Michael crap for every single week, or just about every single episode of Hardware Addicts, is him being too slow to get tech out. You now join that list.
Michael and I are brothers. I just think we don't know it until recently. Anyway, so it's nice. It's like an aluminum type case. It has a USB-C on it, and it does have USB 3, so the super speed stuff. But it's smaller than what I have as far as like overall dimensions. I think it's still a 14-inch. It's like a 14-inch screen, but a little smaller design.
Decent size still.
So it's got a 10th gen i5 in it. The CPU is actually slightly faster than what I have for my main laptop that I use. And I was thinking, because actually we talked about hardware previously, that I needed to replace my computer anyway, like not necessarily for using it, but like on the go, because like sometimes it's just because my main system that I use when I do quote work, it has 3 hard drives in it to store hard drives. We don't, it has two SSDs and a hard drive. And so it has a lot of things in it and going on. And so I think it'd be better if I didn't take that with me everywhere, because if it breaks, I'm kind of in a bad spot,
Oh yeah.
So
definitely.
it might be better if I transition my portable work to this machine. It doesn't have as much storage. In fact, I don't even know how much storage is in there because I haven't turned it on yet. But it only has one spot for one drive. It has a smart card reader, which is nice.
Oh wow.
So I haven't really decided what I'm going to do with it yet. I'll turn it on today, I promise.
Okay.
And then I'll put Windows. I'll take the Windows off of it, or maybe I should get a different hard drive. I don't even know. I gotta look at it. But I'm gonna put openSUSE Tumbleweed on it, of course.
Well, it depends on how easy it is to get into. Because if it's easy enough to get into and swap out the hard drives, swapping them out might be
The better way to go.
a way to go. Or actually, Windows 10 anymore is so easy to get put back on it, except for like the horrible update process, which just is Windows 10. That if you have a USB stick with Windows 10 on it, ready to reinstall, for whatever reason that you need to send it back for warranty repairs, then that's typically fairly easy to do.
My concern is, like, I'd like to have I don't know what the my Windows 10 code is, like my registration code. So that's why I haven't turned it on yet, because I don't see it anywhere on the computer. I see the little sticker on the bottom, but maybe it's on the BIOS. I don't know. Because I'd like to be able to use a Windows 10 machine.
You typically don't have to do that anymore, especially if it comes with Windows. You typically don't have to put in the code anymore.
See, I feel like I'm an old man. Like, what's going on here? What? How do I change the dial?
Well, remember, I recently had to put Windows 10 back on a laptop so my daughter could do her Minecraft class, because it required the Minecraft education, which required Windows 10. Gotcha. So yeah, we went through that process fairly recently, and there was no code needed, just because it had the Windows keys and secure boot already, that it was good to go.
Gotcha. So you're taking away all my fears of messing with it. It's something new, and I get all jittery about it. It's so weird. But
go play with it.
I should. It's really thin and got some mass to it. But anyway, yes, that's what I have going on there. I'm very grateful. My former employer actually sent that out. They said they would do that, and then it's been several months, and I kind of forgot about it. And then all of a sudden,
forgot all about it.
It appeared. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Christmas. That's what I have going on there as far as tech goes. I'm still working on building something else, but we can talk about that at another time. Yeah. I guess I should do some testing on that, and maybe next week. I probably won't talk to you for it next week. I'll have it ready, but next week it'll actually be running. I promise.
Awesome. Awesome.
So Wendy, what have you got going on?
Well, we are diving back into photo related stuff, and the development version of Gimp has been out for a little bit, since the beginning of November. And I'm so excited for this one to launch. It's just the step right before Gimp 3.0. They're putting in a whole bunch of new stuff into it. One of the great things is it'll be able to work with high DPI monitors better. It'll have Wayland support out of the box. So anybody that's on a system that uses that, you'll have smoother use there. But when it comes to the parts for me that I am so stinking excited about, it comes down to the actual use of the program. And multi-layer selection is here in this development release, which is extremely cool. So before, if you wanted to move, say, a selection of things, you'd have to put them all in like a folder and then move them that way. But if you didn't want to keep them together, there was just a whole bunch of moving things around back and forth. And this way, if you want a group of things that you want to all move at the same time, because you want to keep them together, but you still want to be able to make other adjustments individually, you can select them, move them, or make whatever changes you want to, but still have them be separate layers.
So you're talking about layers in GIMP when you have all those different layers of whatever.
Yeah.
So you can actually copy layers to like a whole new image?
Well, either copying layers, or say you want to change the size of them or use one of the distortion effects. So, there's so many different things that you can do inside it when you're editing an image. So take, for example, I ended up doing the schedule for Game Fest, and I did it in Gimp because it's one of the programs that I know really well. I know it's one of those things I could have used Inkscape for, but I was getting frustrated with Inkscape. And it's not because Inkscape is bad within itself. It's because there's stuff that I wanted to do and I just didn't know how to do it quickly and properly in Inkscape. And so I was getting frustrated and I went back to what I knew, which was Gimp or GNU image manipulation, whatever. Anyway, the
program, I think.
Yeah, there you go. Program. So I went back to that. And there was, I can't remember how many layers that I ended up having total within this image, but each time block I had as a layer group. And then, there was additional layers within inside of that. And then there was things that I needed to change back and forth when working on it. And I needed to change just this part of that layer group and not the whole thing. And so then I was pulling stuff out of the layer group to make changes and then having to put them back in. Just extra work that really didn't need to be done. And because of this multi-layer select, I could select the things that I needed to adjust inside of that layer group, leaving out what didn't need adjusted and completely simplify and speed up that process.
That's cool. So you could actually then do like your distortions then as a group of images as opposed to doing one at a time.
Right.
See, that's cool.
And still keep them separate.
So when I do thumbnails and such, I have to when I want to maybe layer things to make it a little more interesting to look at, like the text or something. It's always irritating because I'll change one and then I got to go to the other one and change it and try and grab it. But if I can actually grab multiple at a time and then shift them around, that would make life a lot easier. And it looks like that's a reality now, or it's a preview.
Well, and they've been adding stuff in over this 2.10 series. They've really been adding a lot of stuff. So this is just one more big step in them making this program so much more functional. I love that earlier on in this year, in this 2.10 series, they added the ability to, so you're using the heal tool or the clone brush, you can set it now to where it's using layers underneath it, which is fantastic. That is another one of those things that they've added that saves so much time. So say I have several different images that I've blended together. They're all on their own layer because I'm using the darks from this one, the lighters from this one, or variations of several in that different layer to get the end image that I want, but I've got dust that needs to be removed. It is such a pain in the rear to try and decide, okay, I've got this speck of dust, which layer is it on? Instead, now I can put a layer on top and then set it to use all the layers below. So now I'm getting corrections done across the whole image without having it a permanent thing, right? Because it's really easy to erase whatever was done on that top layer, and then you're seeing the original below it. They're really coming around with some wonderful features, at least for me as a photo editor.
That's cool.
That I'm so excited to see coming. I can't wait to see what the official 3.0 release will be. They've already done so much in making it better that I can only see it going up from here, right? But we're only getting better from here.
That's fantastic. It really is fantastic. And I'm glad to hear that excitement, because that means that more people could potentially use this for their work as opposed to some more proprietary options that are expensive and don't work on Linux. So
I know Michael regularly says that Gimp is not there for professionals, and it's probably not there when it comes to graphic design, which is stuff that he pretty much do. It may not be there for him or other professionals in that light, but when it comes to photo editing, there is some amazing tools there that I'm excited to see them develop and continue to grow.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that too. What I'm really excited for is for Michael to say, yeah, this will work for professionals. That's what I'm holding out for. Yes. I cannot wait to hear. And then you can rub it in his face on Hardware Addicts. I mean, a gentle. Yeah.
That'll be a glorious day, and I'll be doing happy dance, and we'll throw a party, and
then Michael will rejoice. Michael can actually be happy about it, and it'll be great. And the world will be and world peace will break out. It'll be a whole new ball of wax.
Yeah, absolutely. So instead of Bill and Ted create world peace with their music, it'll be Gimp creating world peace with professional workflows for everybody.
Right. Non-destructive video, graphic editing or something like that.
I love it. We'd like to continue this discussion with you on Telegram, Discourse, Mumble, or Discord, visit the DLN website for information on how to connect to the social channels, all of the shows, creators at DestinationLinux.Network. You can find more information for Nate at
cubiclenate.com. Links to my regular written blatherings podcast and YouTube channel can be found there. And then you can follow Matt's ramblings on Twitter at MattDLN.
You can also find me on Instagram at Linux and Lifts. As always, we thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week with a fantastic episode of DLN Xtend. Until then, have a great week, everyone.
See yous.